To have you back. The show is still Political Spectrum, reaching you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran here in Akwa Ibom State. And of course, I mentioned that this conversation is live on our different social media handles on Facebook, on Instagram, use the handle at SpectrumTv. Yes, I've been joined on this set to talk about the issue of succession and its ripple effect in our society. Governor Yesun Wike, the governor of Rivers State, has proven to be an interesting act since January till now in the act of trying to get the People's Democratic Party together and in line. Issues of zoning and many other issues bothering the party has been on the fore. But quite interestingly, he talked about the issue of naming a successor, of which we have drawn a focus point for today. And on the set with me to talk about this issue is a public affairs analyst in the person of Patrick Ateke. Great to have you, the wise man.
It's nice to be here again.
Yeah, with the gray hair, one would say it's wisdom, right?
Yeah. Gray hair comes with wisdom according to our culture. I think I'm privileged to be among the very few young persons who have come to have this silver lining. I don't like to call it gray hair. I call it silver lining. So it's a privilege to be in that class of people.
Interesting connotation. But back to the issue of the day, politics of succession. We have seen over time in different states where governors try to bring in a successor or maybe introduce someone they feel can saddle their face of the state. And most times it doesn't go well. Most times it goes well. But the focus point is a typical case of what didn't go well was what happened in Imo State when Governor Rojas Okorocha tried to bring in his son-in-law and it didn't go well. We saw how that played out even up to date, and Imo is still having some crisis which can still be traced to that. But on your opinion, do you think pushing a successive plan, pushing to have a successor, what are the sides, what are the both sides to it? What's in your viewpoint?
Basically, it's a beautiful line of discussion because it's something that has saturated our political hemisphere in Akwa Ibom State for over couple of time now, some time back now. And I think the best part of it is that a lot of people are now aware and they want to be part of the discussion, part of the narrative. And it's a good thing as far as I'm concerned. And we have to also have at the back of our mind that there is no successful leader without a successor. One of the hallmarks of a successful leader is a worthy successor. Now the question for me that people should be asking should be issue-based question. Issue-based question in, what am I trying to say? Simple. You have a succession plan. Succession plan has always been there. Not even in businesses, in families. Our culture generally is shrouded in succession plan. That is why you have, in here they say, okay, that's the first son. If his father was a king, he's going to succeed his father as the king. You see that? So succession plan is not alien to our culture, as the case may be. So what we should be looking at this time is, what is the succession plan all about? What does it portend? The person who has been earmarked to succeed, is he worthy? Issue-based. If you look at the monarch in England, once the son is born, the one that is the alliance of succession.
Okay, this is the heir to the throne.
Yeah, the heir to the throne. And then begin to train that person, like I think of Prince William right now in the UK. He's being trained to take over as king. So there's a succession plan in place. Now, what happens is that he's been trained and cultured to act, think, and behave like a queen, like a king.
Well, let me put a pause to it there, and let's look at what Governor Wike said about this same issue. And after that, we'll continue with this conversation. So stay.
Don't want to resign. They want to run election. So commissioners don't want to resign. They want to run election. That is why a whole country, their future is hanging. Because president is contemplating. I love this, my minister. Governor is contemplating. I love this, my commissioner. That is why we cannot move forward.
Well, you heard Governor Wike. He quite shares a different thought to what you're saying. He believes that that actually brings disunity in the polity. So do you still hold to your line of thought that a good leader must have a successor.
Yes, a good leader must have a good successor, as far as I'm concerned. A good leader must have a good successor. For, you see, that's why we in Akwa Ibom said, I want us to begin to think differently from other people. Now, when you begin to think of leadership from the perspective of business management, you will see the need to have a worthy successor. What am I trying to say? If you look at the characteristics that makes up a successful businessman, you find out that that person must be rooted in some level of in a high level of administrative capability and capacity. So if we begin to look at it from that perspective, you discover it's just like a business. You don't want to leave your business and hand over to just anybody. Somebody must have been in the line. Somebody must have been trained. Somebody must have looked at the precedents, antecedents, and prospects of that individual is what we look at. Is it the challenge we have right now in this Akwa Ibom, when people are running around, shouting, making noise all here and there? It's good. It means there's awareness. It means you are beginning to shed ignorance. It means that people are beginning to participate in politics, which is very good. Now, move away from that. Let's come back to the issues on ground. Look at the issues. Now, like I said the last time I was here, I said, look, wanting to be the governor or the chairman or a member of the State House of Assembly or the Red Chamber, Green Chamber, is you wanting to serve. You are applying for a job. Now, you as the citizens that are going to vote, the electors that are going to vote, you are the person employing. Who will you employ? Will you employ somebody based on personal emotions, or will you employ somebody based on competence? Will you employ somebody based on merit or based on mediocrity?
Now, talking about that, there are laid down procedures when, in terms of, pushing through a succession plan. Some of the things that are there is first identify a successor, and then try to get the successor to understand the requirements and also know what is required of the job. Competence is not left out, and of course, assessing, like you've said, assessing. Now, bring it back to Akwa Ibom State. The governor at some point named a preferred aspirant, which of course everyone have accepted. Well, it maybe or maybe not, but to some large extent, we have seen more consultation and people are beginning to accept what's on ground now. Do you think these procedures have been followed through? I
believe the procedures have been followed. That's why those who are against the preferred person, that's permit me to mention his name because it's no longer a secret.
Of course, of course.
Pastor Omoino. Those who are against Pastor Omoino's endorsement by His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Akwa Ibom State, you see their line of argument is there's no issue in it. There's no issue. I have taken on them over and over. I have asked them to, okay, let's sit down. Tell us why you think your preferred aspirant is better than this. Because look, listen, this is no longer politics of compensation. The best thing that Governor Odumono has done for Akwa Ibom State is to yank away the politics of compensation. That patronizing. These people are coming to serve us. And then when they are coming to serve, it's not based on compensation. It's based on capability. What has precedence? These words must not be lost in our subconscious and our lexicons. Antecedents, prospect. Now, if you look at a business person, I tell you, if you look at a business person, somebody who has built a business over time, for over 10 to 15 years, with a track record of employment, employing people, giving people level of some sense of integrity, because everybody that goes to work and earn a living has a level of integrity that has been embedded in that person. Now, compare this person with others. It doesn't mean that others are not good enough, no. But just like everything in life, there is good, better, and best. And then there's always the right person for the right job at a particular time. Right now, what we require in Akwa Ibom State is a person in the mold of Pastor Omoino. No controversy. Okay. He has built a business over time from scratch. This man is a master of startups. He built a business from scratch. Over time, grew it, monitor it, nurture it to the point that it is. At a particular time, I was reading through his profile the other day, and I discovered that at a particular time, this man had employed about 1,000 persons. Now, do the mental mathematics about that. 1,000 families. 1,000 families are quite State. The Bible says, he that is faithful in small will be faithful in big. I'm not an expert in the Bible, but I never forget those little Bible stories my mom used to tell me. Now, if Pastor Omoino, as a private businessman, built a business in a state like Akwa Ibom State and grew it to employing people at a particular time, 1,000 persons. Now, look at the broader picture. If given the helm of affairs in Akwa Ibom State to manage, and he manages with the mindset with which he grew that business, what do you think will happen to Akwa Ibom State?
Well, Akwa Ibom people will answer that at some point, but let me quickly bring this up because of some of these issues that have happened before now in the past. Most times when you see a sitting governor bringing a successor, you find out that they will have a cordial relationship at the intro, but at some point there's always a rift. It has happened in different states, and of course, most likely, or maybe not in Akwa Ibom. But then, what do you think leads to this? If we say we picked square pegs and fix them in square holes, what happens at the tail end?
Now, sometimes when you look at the rifts that usually exist between the predecessor and the successor, it is always nothing to do with governance.
Okay.
It has always been nothing to do with governance. And you see, when I look at His Excellency Governor Odo Emmanuel and his preference for Pastor Moino, I look at professionalism involved. I look at somebody that has empathy towards the state. I look at somebody who has sympathy towards the state. Look at the state, taking the state from where it is to where it ought to be going. Because you see, what we're doing is we're taking the foundation that His Excellency Governor Odo Emmanuel has laid is now taking away the idea of that compensation kind of politics. Yeah, I've been in politics, I've been shouting. Now I want to be chairman. It doesn't work that way. Do you have the capability of being a chairman? Do you have the prerequisites of being a chairman? How many of you have the discipline to even sit down through a budget session? How many of you have the discipline to read through? How many of you have the discipline, you want to go to the State House of Assembly? How many of you have the discipline to even go through a bill? How well have you been able to argue this case? We need to let apes and monkeys climb trees and allow fishes to swim. Because this is it. The smartest fish, the time it takes for the smartest fish to learn the act of tree climbing, the dumbest ape or monkey will do magic with it. So what Governor Odo Emmanuel is doing right now is allowing fishes to swim, apes and monkeys to climb the trees. If we, Akwa Ibom State, must work to its optimum, like we expect it to work, shift away from dependency on hydrocarbons to a more robust environment where businesses will grow, thereby affecting our micro and macroeconomy, which will internally and generally transform our GDP, then we need somebody who has a business kind of mindset. And that other person, as far as I'm concerned, so far so good. Of all the aspirants that have paraded themselves over there, the only person who has that pristine record right now is Pastor Moino. And I think for us, let's shelve all our internal emotions. Like I said, anybody who feels he has a candidate that has a better rap seat than Pastor Moino, you can just bring it up. Forget about talking about the man's biological physical appearance. That has nothing to do with capability.
Well,
this is where they keep going to.
That's insensitive in the first place.
That's where they go to. Let's talk about issues. Is this man good enough? Let's look at his rap sheet. Let's look at his resume. Let's look at his profile. They are verifiable truths and facts in what this man has done over time. So why are we now bringing up this subservient attitude that we think is loyalty? This servitude that we think is loyalty, it is not loyalty, sir. It is not. This is just like conceding to a superior argument. As it stands, the superior argument in relation to who should be the next governor of Akwa Ibom State is Pastor Moino.
Well, at this point, I would like to ask you this particular question. Now, taking cognizance of the fact that most times this rift happen, like you said, is not always in relation to governance. But you will agree that at some point it does affect governance. Because when you have half of the society, citizens who actually, supported a party, maybe the predecessor or maybe the successor, there's always a little shift in the society where people, take guards and it affects governance. How do you think this can be avoided? Because I believe it should be included in the succession plan.
I think, what do I say? Even in the smallest unit, which is the family, between the wife and the husband, there's always a little bit of rift and skirmishes. It is an integral part of human being. When you have a friend or your wife or your husband, your kids, and you don't have this little disagreement, it means you guys are living a lie. Because somebody must be able to tell you how he or she feels. Somebody must be able to tell you that what you've done does not go down well with them. And that's how you move forward. How you react to these issues is what matters, as far as I'm concerned. If your successor, probably, okay, for instance, we had a Governor Attar, who was a spectacular architect, had a wonderful master plan for Akwa Ibom State, and particularly Uyo Metropolis and surrounding Uyo Town and its metropolis. Some of those plans were not adhered to by his successor, and he was unhappy with it, and he made his point known. That did not stop governance. That did not stop governance. And in line with that, if you discover some of the things he said, if you go to Tropicana, one of his major challenges were where that hotel was situated in Tropicana. As it stands, that place has been abandoned. That building has been abandoned after pumping in billions of naira. So it does not stop governance. But you see, for a smart person, you take into cognizance what your predecessor, in line with positivity. I'm not asking a predecessor to come and be overbearing on his successor. But the predecessor, what he does is he should be a backbone, a pillar for the successor. Gentlemen, this is where, or gentle lady, this is where we are going. Now, in going here, why don't you take this way? Just like our parents. Our parents guide us, try to guide us to get us to where we ought to be. And where we ought to be is where we need to be, not necessarily where we want to be. Because where we want to be most times does not all go well for us. So, and that brings us back to what Akwa Ibom should be asking questions. When somebody comes to tell you, my aspirant is the best, ask the person the first question. What do we want and what do we need? So we begin to look at what we need beyond what we want. If we put our attention on what we need beyond what we want, we will discover that what we want right now is no other person than Pastor Omoyeno. I'm serious. This has something to do with politics. This is reality. It's glaring, it's pristine. Because you need to bring these people and put them pari passu with themselves. I'm not saying they are not good. The other aspirant, I'm not saying they are not good. They are. They are. But right now, the right person for the job is no other person than this man, because you need to come and stabilize the system. I don't know how much you know about football.
You keep talking about what we need and what we need at this point. In your viewpoint, what do Akwa Ibom people need that fits, like you said, fits so well in the character of Honorable Moino?
We cannot take away the fact that we need jobs in this state. We need employment in this state, first of all, because people need to be employed, because God only bless the works of your hands. No food for lazy man. These are entrenched in the doctrines that we follow. And for us, where do we get the job from? Job doesn't fall from heaven. Jobs are being created. So you need to give it to somebody who is in the business of creating jobs, who understands what it means to create jobs. Creating jobs is different from coming around and giving you stipends. It's degenerating for young men like me to go to a politician's house and stand at the gate, and then he comes and then we are screaming, and then he comes out and gives us 10,000 naira, 20,000 naira, and we go home. We go home, and then we never see him again, probably till after 3 months or 4 months. He comes around, and in his mind, he has taken care of us. That's why you find out a lot of young men are not married, because they can't take care of the family. There's no job. So we need to give this principally, aside from the peace that must be maintained, because no progress without peace. Are you getting me? Sure. What Akwa Ibom needs is job. And we can only give that job to somebody who is in the business of creating job. Somebody who has created job, tested and trusted. Who has created job. And as it stands, amongst the lot, the person that has created job, tested and trusted, is Pastor Moino. Started from Eke, moved over to you, spreading. So he has eyes. And listen, this is what I tell people. Why I say people should now begin to think from the business perspective this. You need to look at the characteristics of a businessman. Business people don't waste. They abhor waste. Business people are innovative. They are in the business of creating jobs, opportunities, profits.
Absolutely. We would want to thank you at this point for sharing your thought with us. And you've rightly said that business people don't waste.
They don't waste.
I think that's a fact that everybody would agree. And then again, you said all Akwa Ibom needs is embedded in the character of Pastor Umoino, which of course is making serious consultations. And as we speak, there's also a live consultation ongoing now. And we hope to see how that turns out.
Sorry, you see, why he's busy consulting people, telling them what he can do or what he will do. The other camps are busy attacking his personality, talking about his biological physical appearance, which is something that should be discouraged.
Oh, well, consultations are in different dimensions. So they are doing consultation in their own right. So we leave that at that, and we call it a day here on Political Spectrum Friday edition. Thank you very much, Mr. Patrick Adeke, for coming on the show.
Always a pleasure.
We look forward to another time. But until next week when Political Spectrum returns, I am Uto Basiton. Bye for now.